Quebec Premier François Legault will outline his plans today to loosen restrictions and restart his province's economy. Non-essential businesses have been under lockdown, as you know, since mid-March, putting hundreds of thousands of people out of work. The province remains the national hotspot for COVID-19, so keep that in mind, with 875 new cases reported yesterday. But Quebec is also the first in the country to set a date for daycares and many schools to reopen. That is set for May 11th. Legault says his government is moving ahead because stay-at-home orders have kept the hospitals from being overwhelmed. Our Chase team has reached out to two parents in Quebec to gauge how they're feeling about sending their kids back to class. Christy Finley is a mother of two, aged 9 and 10, and she's in Quebec City. She's in favor of schools reopening in mid-May. We've also got Shelley Reuter with us from Greenfield Park near Montreal. She's got a son in grade 4. She's against the move. I want to welcome you both ladies to the program and start right away. Shelley, Quebec's premier wants to see schools reopen next month. Are you going to be sending your son back to school?
No, I won't be.
Because?
The plan just struck me as really not well thought out, and I'm not convinced that this is the time to reopen schools.
What would it take to convince you?
I'd like to see fewer cases. I'd like to see a more concrete plan for what this will look like at school. The press conference yesterday with the ministers didn't demonstrate that they know how this is going to work. They seem to have left it up to the schools and the principals, the teachers, to figure this out over the next 2 weeks. And I don't think that's fair to them. And it doesn't inspire confidence that this is going to work.
Christy, you seem to have the confidence enough to send your kids back to school. Tell me where that comes from.
I do. Well, partially for me, it comes from the fact that my husband is a pediatric intensive care doctor. So we have been following very closely the cases and the populations that are being impacted by it. And also, we have to start somewhere. I'm trusting in our school, our administration, and our government to let us know if this measure results in a peak of cases, that we go back, we scale back to mid-March, where we were with the social distancing. But I think we have to start trying somewhere.
You know, having a family member who's in the medical field probably helps. But is it kind of like driving? You don't worry about yourself on the roads, but other people. So your family might be following all the rules, etc. But what about other families? And you're going to send your children out into that. Does that concern you?
You know, in my opinion, it doesn't concern me that much, because you would have to have that same consideration. As you said, when you get in a car, you have to expect that everyone's going to follow the rules of the road, or you're going to crash. At some point, we have to trust that everyone is going to do their part so we can get back to some sort of sense of normalcy, whether it be a new normalcy or what we used to have before.
Shelley, let me ask you about the sense of normalcy. It's got to be hard having, you know, the family at home and self-isolating, etc. How much do you crave that? And I'm wondering if that was kind of one of the pushes and pulls that you were feeling about whether to, you know, allow your grade 4 child to go back to class.
Of course, it's a consideration. It's not easy.
No kidding.
It's not easy to work. It's not easy for my child, who for sure would rather be at school, but he knows what's at stake, so he understands my decision. We've had to take extra measures to make sure he connects with his friends as much as we can. We've got a routine going, so I mean it's working. It's certainly not ideal. The prospect of doing this all summer does not delight me, but you know, weighing the pros and cons, I just have to err on the side of caution here.
And your son is what, 9 or 10, if he's in grade 4, right?
Yeah, 10.
And so keeping a 10-year-old occupied, I'm just feeling for you, Shelley. What did you say to him about your decision, you know, not to send him back to school?
He already knew. There was a conversation, and to be honest, he's settled in quite nicely to this new lifestyle of ours, this lockdown lifestyle, I call it. He wasn't surprised. I just said, you know, I'm not sending you, and he said, okay. That was it.
Well, you're lucky then. Christy, your kids are 9 and 10. What was the conversation you had with them?
Well, we've been having conversations all along the lockdown with them about our responsibility to keep the social distancing measures and what it means and why we're doing it, so that they have an understanding of, to the best of their abilities, they have an understanding of why we're doing things. But when I announced to them yesterday that yes, in fact, they would be going back May 11th here in Quebec City, you know, they questioned me. They wanted to understand a little bit more, and to them, I tried to really instill their role in society, and that's that we have to test out this system. We have to test out new social distancing measures in new contexts, and it's through them that we're able to do it. And they seem to understand that a little bit. I want to give them that role, that active responsibility within our current situation, so that they feel empowered by it and they understand why it is we're doing what it is we're doing.
So in the lunch bag that you will send to school, along with the no peanut, snacks and all that kind of stuff, do you send gloves, mask, hand sanitizer, a list of do's and don'ts? What else do you put in there?
Well, definitely I'm looking to the school to have those kinds of information available. They've already communicated. They communicated with us on Sunday night that they would be sending out stuff. We got stuff this morning from them already, sort of laying the groundwork of what it's going to look like in the school. And I'm expecting over the next few days that we're going to get more information. From my side, it'll be, everything will get washed as soon as we get home. I'm going to be limiting the amount of stuff that comes to school and then goes home. And then also I'll be ensuring that the kids have good showers and wash their hands, and that we disinfect everything as much as possible. You
seem excited about this too. Are the kids excited?
Honestly, I think they are. They're ready for the challenge. They're ready to see their friends for sure. I mean, that's something that it's been very hard, even though we do FaceTime and Zoom and Messenger Kids and all the different portals that we can to keep them connected with their friends. They're definitely very missing that social aspect. But I see them as ready to take on what this new reality is going to look like.
Shelley, last point to you. What is the conversation you're going to be having with your son over in the days and weeks ahead as you learn more about the numbers? And I'm wondering, at what point do you say, okay, now's an okay time, you can go back to school? Because it is voluntary.
Right. Well, to be honest, with so little time left in the school year, I have to ask, what's the point? I think we'll have that conversation in September. Assuming the schools do open on the 19th, we'd be affected on the 19th, that leaves so little time, and everybody knows that the kids have checked out by then anyways. So I'm not sure why they're putting the teachers and families through this at this stage, particularly when, Ontario, for example, they're looking at leaving schools closed at least until the end of the month. And they've got benchmarks in place that will guide their decision for when to reopen. So for me, it's the end of the summer.
I understand both of your arguments, and I wish you both well, and I thank you for being on the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
Christy Finley from Quebec City and Shelley Reuter from Greenfield Park on CBC News Network.